The NBA Live series has slowly been making strides to once again be seen as a serious competitor for basketball fans. Now, Live 18 made a huge leap over its predecessor and showed gamers that they were going in the right direction. So does NBA Live 19 match the rising expectations of the franchise, or does it take a step back? Let's find out. When you start a game of NBA Live 19, you're once again greeted with the Espn Broadcast package, and nothing has really changed. The intros remain the same starting lineup graphics, and it's the same score bug. So, if you were a fan of those, you're in luck. But I must say that the wide-angle camera shots of the stadiums after made baskets are a thing of beauty. That said, a nitpick I would bring up is the lack of stat overlays during dead ball periods, and it's especially glaring in franchise mode games. I want to be constantly reminded of what's going on around the NBA, and in my opinion, you can never have enough stats shown during the games. Now, I had high expectations for the new commentary team heading into 19, as I was a fan of Jay Williams, and the team of Mike Breen and Jeff Van Gundy didn't exactly have me waiting for each word they would say, so I figured the only way to go was up with this. While I'll say that is a step up from 18, let's just say that we're taking baby steps here. So far, Ed Cohen, more so than Jay Williams, seems really robotic in his delivery, and oftentimes comes out of nowhere with his play-by-play after 5 seconds of dead air.
Now a three, at the buzzer.
And while I repeat that I do like Jay Williams and he has a natural flow, unless it's a blocked shot, both fail to bring emotion in key moments.
Lets it fly from beyond the arc. That's what the King does.
But let's be real here. The improvement of player likenesses from Live 18 to 19 is the first thing you'll notice about the game. The art team deserves a lot of credit for their work this year. Sure, some guys you can pick out and go, that doesn't quite look like them, but the accuracy of the majority of the players' faces, along with the lighting, will have you an instant replay just staring at some of the team's amazing work. Now, much has been made about the real player motion making its way over to NBA Live 19, and it doesn't disappoint. The responsiveness to chaining moves together and dribbling into shots is noticeable as soon as you tip off. And as a result, dribbling has definitely become a major strength and the most enjoyable part of the gameplay to me, as I've never had more fun using some of the best ball handlers in the league and trying to come up with whatever move I wanted to attempt at the moment and have it all come together so cleanly that I didn't even care that if I bricked the shot. And I'm again a fan of the little arrow visual on defense that tells you if you successfully walled off a ball handler or not, and that window that allows you to try and then steal the ball. Although I'm sure some aren't too fond of it, as I can see it being labeled as kind of arcadish. Post play is as enjoyable as ever, with the moves you can do and the counters the defenders can do to you. Just wait until you pull off your first successful up and under this year on somebody, then you'll have truly seen the light. And something that was subtle that was changed but makes a huge difference is we no longer have to hold down the screen button all the way through the pick and roll anymore. It's simply one click and he's coming towards you. I love it. Now, there are issues though, and it's not a perfect game. Luckily, a lot of them seem to be able to be fixed via patches down the line. To start, while dribbling is top notch, the frequency at which defenders still fall over from even the most basic of dribble moves is simply ridiculous. It does everybody a disservice when ankle breakers are triggered so easily. Am I really supposed to get hyped when my dude fell like he tore his ACL from a simple right-left? Teams also appear to rebound like Brook Lopez, at least on the offensive end, because offensive boards come few and far between and only seem to happen when I can immediately transition them into a putback dunk. Now, the biggest thing I feared, and it's true so far, is contested jump shots going in way too much. It's still an issue, and players are finishing at the rim like they're LeBron James. Now, while I just said that finishing at the rim is too easy, it seems like you either hit a shot over a defender who's heavily guarding you, or get it blocked into the stands by the rate both seem to occur. The amount of blocked shots I'm able to pile up in a 5-minute quarter game can rival most teams' outputs in real life. I feel the contested layups and blocks, especially the blocks that happen on dunk attempts, which, let's be real, happen way more in-game than they do in real life, should be converted more into fouls and misses. The animations that trigger on layups in particular do such a good job of automatically avoiding contact that it's rare you'll even see fouls. I feel like the NBA street-like gameplay of other modes seeps into the 5-on-5 simulation gameplay quite a bit here. As far as playing the computer goes, many problems I've had with them in the past is, quite frankly, they cheat. If I get up by 20, you can be sure that by the time the fourth quarter rolls around, that game's going to be tied. So it was to my surprise that I felt the computer offers a fair challenge in NBA Live 19. They have their fair share of making garbage shots, but like I said earlier, that's evident in every mode. But I felt the computer, even on the highest difficulty, wasn't some unfair challenge, as even though they would bury a heavily contested shot, they would miss open ones as well, and I loved that their shot tendencies varied a lot more this year. The computer does have a tendency to have one player take over a little too much, and it's not like he's even hot sometimes, but generally their best or one of their best players will just take all the shots for a long stretch of time. When strategy comes into play, I feel it could be better. I can still spam a pick and roll, and their defensive strategy just won't change. There's the odd substitution at weird times and questionable decisions in crunch times that can take you out of the game and have you remember that, for a brief second, you're just playing against a computer. But other than that, I'm pleased with how enjoyable it is to play against the AI so far. Now, as a longtime sports fan, one of my favorite things to do back in the PS2 days was controlling every team in whatever sport I was playing that day and simming seasons, checking out the stats and the standings and all that good stuff. So I take accuracy in this area very serious. And sadly, NBA Live 19 fails once again in this department. Before I talk further on that though, I want to say that I do love the upgradable trait system that has been added, that your player can obtain and upgrade different traits just by reaching certain ratings or star total benchmarks, and that you of course can improve using your upgrade points that you earn. And it's also pretty cool that you're able to swap out different traits depending on the matchup that game, taking a page from the one mode there. But other than that, where do I start? I touched on this briefly earlier, but they really could do a better job of stat overlays, informing us of the happenings around the league, who the league leaders are, what the best record last week was, or who even leads in minutes per game this year. But now we're about to get into stats, guys. I've also simmed the first season of a Philadelphia 76ers franchise 5 different times, and the general consensus is the simulation engine still needs work. For the second straight year, Rudy Gobert is apparently a combination of prime Ben Wallace and Shaquille O'Neal to the sim engine. Another problem is individual leaders in three-point attempts and free throws are nowhere near the real-life leader attempts are, despite the team amounts being on par. And another concerning trend is team total shot attempt leaders would also hover around the bottom 10 if this was real life as well, which this directly affects the amount of rebounds teams get, which is also evident in the top 10 leaders in boards, placing in the bottom 10 if this was real life also. Yet despite the lower shot attempts going forward, points per game for teams are usually higher than in real life because of the higher field goal percentages. Which is funny because team 3-point shooting percentages are always consistently lower than they should be, which tells me Sims heavily favor guys who shoot inside, which is why we got Marc Gasol suddenly becoming a 26 point per game scorer and Rudy Shaquille O'Neal Gobert being an elite scorer as well. This also has a slight side effect on teams having crazy high assist totals, which means that individuals also have crazy high assist totals. The 3-point shooting issue also turns a non-user controlled Houston Rockets team into an average ball club, as their record in my Sims always borders around 500 because they're not taking the 153 pointers they do every game. And right now I have no comment on why the second best record in the league is just at 47 wins. I just did another sim before writing this, and the second best was at 54 wins, but a majority of the league is always swimming in the sub 50 wins area, when just 6 hit that milestone this past season, and 8 the year before that. The draft experience is once again pretty lackluster. You basically just stare at a draft board, pick a player, and then you see him on the screen in the background for a bit. Then you're back to staring at your draft board. There's again really no build-up except a tab dedicated to the prospects where you can check out their stats throughout the year. Now, free agency, as you guessed it, is an adventure. Now, I won't discuss the fact that Ben Simmons, for some reason, had a player option despite being a rookie and opted out. No. I won't do that. But the Ben Simmons thing does highlight a larger issue that I have in franchise modes in basketball games. It's when players who have player options in their contract all opt out just because they could. And yeah, it's more of the same here, as every player who has a chance to hit free agency will hit free agency. The bright spot is that at least their preferred destinations and who they end up signing with actually makes sense. As last year, I'll never forget that I was able to grab Andrew Wiggins and DeMarcus Cousins, who I was upset was allowed to even sign with me, as I already had Joel Embiid at center. Now, the crown jewel of the NBA Live series is the one mode where you rise to ultimately make it to the NBA. New to it this year is an icon system that, on top of picking the playstyle we want for our character, it lets us model our game after basketball stars and legends with different rewards the more you play, and adds a lot more variety between gamers' characters. The Streets World Tour gives us a chance to play on some beautifully designed courts from all over the world with our The One character and become a global icon. Live Run is the best of the bunch and is a lot of fun playing with your friends or strangers who actually pass the ball, as they offer the more streetball focused 3v3 and the 5v5 that leans more on the competitive side of things with 5-minute quarters and fouls. And Court Battles is a new unique mode that offers long-term playability with the amount of customization it offers with courts that creators create themselves that are then able to be stolen and defended. The different combinations of rules, rosters, and restrictions are endless and should keep gamers busy well into the lean months. NBA Live 19 is a step in the right direction. Their focus on the one mode has not been for naught, as I feel like it's a solid alternative to another basketball game's RPG based mode, and real player motion was a much needed addition to the franchise. While it may have some issues like the lack of attention to franchise mode and some gameplay problems that are fixable, one thing you can't deny is that the overall package of NBA Live 19 nails what video games are supposed to be all about, and that's delivering a fun experience for the gamer. For more NBA Live content and sports videos daily, be sure to subscribe to Sports Gamers Online and hit that bell to be notified every time a new video goes live. And don't forget to visit sportsgamersonline.com.